All of you remember when you sit for meditation, just you have to watch in between eyebrows. The idea is to quieten the mind, achieving the silence of the mind. Any thoughts or visions occur if you just keep watching them and do not analyze. Then slowly all those thoughts and visions dissolve. That's when the mind will become quiet. Then only its attention will turn to itself. That is how you can know yourself. Yourself is important. So your job, just to watch. Do not analyze or make any judgments about thoughts or visions.
Babaji, the topic for today is oneness. But when Babaji uses the term oneness, what does Babaji mean?
The ultimate truth, what we recognize as the real self or divinity, is one single self that exists as all pervaded in this universe. And it is just one. There is no second of that is there. So that's what is, we call it as oneness. Also, if you look at the space is all pervaded. Matter may appear as different pieces according to its size and density or anything that it is, but in all of them, inside and out, and it is what is simply spread is the space, that is that oneness. So that oneness is what we talk. Also, in other words, when we become self-realized, though so many different personalities might appear, their nature also might appear different. That's because of the brain's reflections and the brain giving different samskaras, different acquired habits of the mind. But the substance that we call it as self is the same everywhere. In you, in me, and in all the participants, in all the people of this world, all creatures of this world, it is just one. So that is what we call it as oneness.
Thank you, Babaji. So if everything is one, then why does it appear that there is a separation? But what causes this separation, Babaji?
As I told, the separation appears because of the brain's reflections, and brain giving different definitions for itself, and catching the reflections of the brain. The first mind, which is the self, has forgotten the real self. So it has misidentified the I as this body. So these bodies are all different. So that's why the difference appears. But if we dwell inside, we abide by the self, that day we realize the same I is everywhere simply.
So Babaji, for a yogi, there is no separation. They see themselves in everything. Is that correct? Just like a mother sees themselves in the child.
Yes. Exactly. It is the same thing.
Sorry.
The same self is seen everywhere by a yogi. He recognizes that self. Though the behavior of different people, different creatures might be different, but because of the body, a tiger might behave in a different way, or a leopard might behave in a different way, elephant might behave in a different way, and different people might behave in different way, because they are all victims of the reflections of their brain or in the body. So that is why it happens. But a yogi has experienced the self, and he gets to see the same self everywhere. Though he gets to see as a witness different behaviors of people, he knows that it is the same self which is behaving in different way.
So, Babaji, is that similar to when you have a dream and all the characters in the dream appear, but actually those characters simply come from our own imagination. Is that similar?
Yeah. You see,
Similar.
when you dream and also in your mind, both, so many characters and stories are all there. For all the stories and the characters that are there, your mind is the one single self. It is the pure consciousness which is inside that, and it is only behaving as different, but it is the same thing. In the same way, in dream also, when you are dreaming, everything is within yourself. There is no difference. Though the different characters might appear, a different story might appear. In the story, different creatures or characters, whoever come in the dream, they might be behaving in different ways. So one might be behaving like a servant, another might be a master, one might be behaving like a good, another like a bad. But it is all the same, in the same self, the simple story is being played. So thus it is the same thing, one single self is there, but so many characters, so many behaviors, all appears, which is not true.
Thank you, Babaji. And Babaji sometimes talks about seeing the God and Guru in everything. So any character, even if it might be a troublesome person, you visualize everything as the Guru, as testing you or helping you. Babaji talk about that aspect.
Yeah, I have told in my talks, suppose there were bad people who came into our life, some wicked guys came, they behaved in such a wicked way or a bad way, but yet we recognize the Guru there. It is the same Guru, perhaps, who wanted to teach us some lesson, make us more stronger like a commando. It was like a training for us throughout the life. That so many, like today, this body's age is 68 years. But all these years, whatever we have seen since childhood or since younger days, though it might have appeared as a bad character, a bad person or a wicked person even, but it was all our own Guru who sent them to train us as a better person, to become more matured, to become more perfect in abiding in the self. So that's what we just saw, only the Guru everywhere. It is the Guru who is behaving. Maybe there is some reason. So that's what finally we settle down at peace.
Could Babaji also talk about the story of the elephant rider? So where we see God in everything, but we don't choose where to see God.
Yeah, you see, when the master was teaching, God is everywhere. That didn't mean that it will be the same behavior at every place. So like when the student was sitting on the river bank, he saw an elephant coming. The elephant rider was shouting, "Hey, give way, don't stand on the way." He thinks if this elephant is Narayana or God, so it should not be troubling me. But it didn't happen so. The elephant came and lifted that person and threw him away. He got bruised and fractured all over, bandaged. He comes to the master. Master, you told that Narayana, God is everywhere, but how can God harm me? He said, God didn't want to harm. That's why as the rider on the elephant, he was shouting, "Give way." He actually did not want, but you were adamant. You did not listen to God. You tried to see God only in elephant and forgot there is God in the elephant rider also. So that is what we do. By theory, this non-duality or the oneness cannot be practiced. It's not easy. We try to catch hold of one and forget the other. So this is what happens. When we try to do wrong thing, we try to justify ourselves, "Oh, God made me to do it." But when somebody slaps us, then we forget that God is only slapping us. So this is what happens. So that's how the mind becomes silent for a yogi. It never really analyzes or makes any judgment. It never curses anybody. If at all we talk something, It is for the benefit of anybody who would have behaved very badly with us at that moment, so that they don't acquire karmas. Otherwise, we are unaffected. Nothing happens there. Some people come as students for us. They serve very dedicatedly for a long time. And some people come, they serve for some time, then they go away. And some simply go away. Some simply don't go away. Some simply accuse us, try to trouble us, try to threaten us, and then go away. So it is all the same drama that happening. If you are acting in a drama, if somebody is threatening you, you won't be really scared. You know it is only a drama that is happening. The same way yogi would see that divinity all pervaded. The one who has betrayed and gone also is the divine only, to teach us some lesson, maybe to benefit something for us. So like that, something is always good. Nothing is bad. If one door closes, another door opens. It is the divine who keeps playing. He takes out this chair and brings another chair and puts it for us. Like that, finally, we have to recognize the divine. That comes by practice of meditation. Long time meditation only can give this attitude or this acquired habit in the consciousness when we are able to experience that truth everywhere. Like I have told, when you enter a hall or any such place, the space in there seldom attracts your attention. The pillar, a fan, a wall, people, so many things will attract you. They all appear to be different people, different objects, and have their own characters. If you hit your head onto the wall will break your head. So like that it happens. So everything has its own character. If a tiger comes, if you don't consider the tiger at that moment as tiger and just want to see God, so you have to allow whatever God wants to do. If God wants to eat your body, let it happen. Either that or you learn to run away from there. So like that. So this thing can come only by a long practice of meditation, not by reading theories or not by listening to lectures from the masters or anybody like that. So one has to be very careful in practicing. Advaita is there, the oneness is there. Even a yogi's behavior also can be strange because he will be behaving like an ordinary person only. Watching anything, eating anything, talking anything, any topic, sometimes joking, humorous, sometimes very serious, pulling up, sometimes using some wrong word also. So it can be anything. So you don't judge a yogi by the behavior of his body or his behavior in this world. His knowledge, that knowledge and wisdom is much more important. That's what, like in our Guru, Swamiji, we always saw that one. Whatever he behaved, that awareness always came to us. Oh, he is one with the ultimate truth. He is the master. He has that knowledge and wisdom which we need. We also need to do tapas. Then only we can realize how he remains as a yogi.
Thank you, Babaji. So Babaji talks about not judging this world or judging the guru or judging anything. Is that what faith is, Babaji? Because if we're not self-realized, we need that faith to keep going, and the faith not to judge also. Is that?
Yeah. Your faith is very important. More than the master's personality or body, your faith is the most important. Say, there is one big stone. We worship it as the Shivalingam, symbolizing the divinity that is all pervaded and form and the formlessness. We worship that as the Shiva, Lord Shiva. Otherwise, for another person who may not be able to develop faith, it is only a stone that is made to stand there. He might think this is only a stone, but nobody knows whether it is the stone or what it is also. It appears to be stone because you recognize it as stone. You see others also recognizing it as stone. Simply because everybody recognizing it as stone, not necessary. 50,000 people might be trying to recognize a person as a self-realized, but it is not necessary that person should be a self-realized just because 50,000 people recognize. All the 50,000 people may not know anything about that person. And the criteria for God. What is the criteria for God? That was given by the great sages who composed the Gayatri Mantra, as if we adopt that remembrance of that divinity in our minds unhappiness and sins will be washed away once for all. We will have that supreme peace and the purity in our own consciousness. For that purpose, that was recognized as the divine. It is divine in nature because it can give us happiness, peace, and purification of the heart. All the corrupted things of the mind will disappear. So this is what the criteria. Not simply that you can produce $1,000 and then you don't become God just by doing so. So that is what it is. We have to understand the criteria. Then the faith comes. So if there is faith, there is the divine and the manifestation is all there. Simply the difference is in manifestation. In a stone, if you see it as a stone, the manifestation doesn't appear. But if you bring in your bhava, the divinity, and if you try to see that God worship, then you will see that glow of the divinity there.
So Babaji, the thing that's preventing this faith is that our own negative imaginations, that we believe our brain reflections too much.
Yeah, you see, for more than 18 years, you consider a person as a self-realized and you serve and you praise, you do everything. Suddenly, one day, you declare that he is not self-realized, my heart has shifted. What is that meaning? It is all the mind. Their mind has changed. Until now, their mind was recognizing in a different way. Today, suddenly it said something else. For some other reason, means their criteria, their agenda was totally different. That's what it means. Then, these things also change in a person. But simply because one person wants to certify and take away that certification back, one doesn't become self-realized or one doesn't lose the self-realization. These things does not depend on one person or 10% or 100,000 persons comments or their faith or something. So whatever faith they have, the things appear to them in that way. And either they gain or they lose. It is the imagination. When you are imagining means you are creative. The highest that you can create is the divinity about the existence. Otherwise, nobody knows what it is. That's why the sages said, Tattva. When they realized, they didn't call it as a divine first. First they called it as Tattva. That's such an awesome thing that slowly they imagined it as the divine. This is divine in nature because it can give us happiness and wash away all our sins or corrupted things. So that is how they imagine, and it appears so. For some other person, it may not appear so. They may not recognize in that way because that their culture will be like that. Say whether through spirituality or through science, anybody who realizes a truth, a certain truth, and what they are going to call that a truth, how they are going to address or recognize, that depends on their culture and the language that is prevailing amongst themselves, terminologies that they will use. Science will use its own terminologies. Spirituality has used its own terminology. The great sages used their own terminology. But the truth is the same. When they discussed, they gave their opinions. This is what it is. It is all pervaded. It is the oneness. It is no second. It has no other entity other than that truth. And it is not also in two pieces. Like jokingly, earlier years in my talks, I used to tell, luckily there is only one God. If there were several gods, they would have been fighting for supremacy and for a throne which does not exist. The divinity, the space that is all pervaded, does not need any throne for it to sit. It simply exists in itself. See the wonder. You don't have to create any kingdom for this divinity, or you don't have to put any throne, you don't have to give any title. It simply exists, all pervaded, that's all. And that is the divine we recognize. That is that oneness we talk all the time. This comes when you practice meditation.
Thank you, Babaji. Babaji, is it possible for this world as we see it, with all the conflicts, with everyone has different beliefs, can there be peace and harmony eventually in this world?
You see, if everybody practice the purification of their mind, instead of meditation, I'm using this language, everybody need to follow some exercise to purify their own mind. They should get rid of the corruption of selfishness, narrow-mindedness, ignorance, all these things we need to overcome. Then when they gain that real knowledge and wisdom, then the conflict can end. Their purification, their consciousness becomes totally pure. Then conflicts can come to an end. When we realize we all belong to one space. To remember the old example I used to give always, from a small town you will tell your house number and street name, then you go out of the town, you belong to the town, then you belong to the state, then you belong to that country, then you belong to the world, then you belong to planet Earth. Like that, your consciousness expands. You belong to a huge, large area now. When you realize you belong to the space, ultimately, you are in the space. We are on the earth, and that earth is in the space. When we all belong to the space, we all one. How can we be different? How can there be any enmity? But if people become selfish, narrow-minded, then all conflicts arise. If we all realize we all belong to one single space, so we are all brothers, or we all belong to one place, we will see that oneness, then all conflicts can come to an end. This is what, since time immemorial, time to time, whenever the self-realized masters came, they have always advised humanity to live in peace, allow others to live in peace, and see that oneness of the divinity. Different terminologies, different languages, they have always advocated. But humans haven't been able to give up selfishness and narrow-mindedness. Even they come to ashram, they go to temples, they go to places of worship. There also they bring their mind. They don't want to give up that narrow-mindedness. That's what they have to give up. So then world will have peace. It will be such a beautiful place. So much of beautiful resources have been given for us to live happily.
Thank you, Babaji. Could Babaji also talk about the prayer, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu? It's considered the highest prayer.
Since childhood we were taught, Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu means so many worlds might be there. We don't know how many worlds the divine has created or goes on creating. But may all beings in all the worlds be happy. Then our mind becomes purified. When we don't think the bad things of bad people always, then we can avoid our own minds becoming corrupted. Because our mind will spin and keeps imagining, it becomes the same corrupted thing. We don't have to pray to God, God, only help me please. I don't want to bother about others people. It is the wrong thing. It is not a good thing. So that's what. Also, as a moral story, we had a chapter in our childhood schools, and there was an old lady who was living in a village with her hen. So every morning, the hen used to crow, and the people used to get up and become active in their daily activities. Once, for some reason, that old lady became annoyed with the villagers. She said, I am going to take away my hen. I will see how morning will happen in this village. Nobody will be able to get up or do any active work. She took the hen and went away from that village. For about 5-6 months she was away. After 6 months, suddenly one day she thought, let me go and see that village, how it is faring. Whether anybody is able to get up or it is only darkness, no sunrise has happened at all. She came with her hen and she saw, to her surprise, it was daylight. Everybody is working and everybody is active and busy. Some eating, some working in the agricultural field. She asked one person, hey, how did the sun rose in this village? I had taken away my hen. He hits his head. Old lady, you are such a stupid. The sunrise was not happening because of your hen or your hen crowing. It was always happening. Simply the your hen was crowing. Listening to that sound, everybody used to get up. When it went away, they started practicing to get up on their own without the sound of the crow. So never think that sunrise is happening because of your hens crowing. So that's what the news and the lesson, that moral lesson that we have to learn from all these things. The oneness, the divinity is there and big things are happening. We have nothing to do. Whatever we imagine, we start thinking that is at the truth and we try to blame the other things which is not our knowledge. So actually knowledge is wide and boundless. That's what the sages recognize. This oneness is also boundless. You cannot be binding that truth. This is what you have to realize. So then you give up your selfishness and then all conflicts can come to an end. Everybody can have peace. You should not have the arrogance that the world is being run because of me. No. Sun rises and the moon comes and goes. Suddenly one person starts telling, oh, while doing puja, I asked the sun to stop there for some time and he stopped. And people, 50, 100 people give a big clapping. If you are ready to get fooled, there are people ready to fool you. So that's what happened. But the truth is totally different. The oneness and the things that are happening. Once a person realizes the truth, he becomes really humble. We know that it is not we who are doing. We just become quiet and all our judgments come to an end.
Pranam Babaji. Babaji, I want to know, there are so many, in my mind, there are so many gods. There are Lord Hanuman, Krishna, and Shivji, and Parvatiji, and Lakshmiji, Narayanji, and so many gods are there. Jesus Christ is there, Allah is there. So, and then as myself is there. So, how to find oneness? Only meditation is the only thing, because please answer on this.
God is one, but many names and many forms He has manifested for the sake of the devotees. That is all. There is no difference. They are all the same. Just like you are mother to your son, you are wife to your husband, but you are that one same. It is the oneness is there. In the same way, one space is there. Though we might tell, okay, this is my space, we keep fighting. But that space is one. Can you take a knife and cut the space into few pieces? Just like you cut the cake. You cannot do that one. So that is how you recognize, you understand. So also you must meditate for that thoroughly this knowledge and wisdom sits in your consciousness. Got it? It's only one God. You can worship in any form or formlessness. That is the greatness of our Sanatana Dharma, our religion also.
Babaji, can you talk a little bit about Ishta Dev?
Ishta, it is your choice. You can choose any form and tell, okay, this is the form I like. But for that, you must not become egoistic, that my form is the only greatest thing, only God, not your form. Suppose you like Hanuman, you tell that Hanuman is the only God, I don't like Lord Shiva. That is ignorance and stupidness. So you must not do that one. I like God in the form of Hanuman is the right way to recognize. So any other person believing in any other form also is believing the same God. That's why our Guru Shivamala Yogi also told, You can believe God in any form or any formlessness, but do not condemn others' beliefs. It is the oneness.
Pranams Babaji, I have two small questions. Like in yoga system, in Indian yogic system, there are many types of yoga, pranayama, bandhas, kriya yoga. And so this, your beautiful technique, it's very powerful. So when we do this technique, so we do not need to do other pranayams and bandhs practice, hatha yoga, etc. This technique enough is good for
So this technique is very good enough for self-realization, for everything, because it looks after everything. If you just need to do a little pranayama so that the smooth inhale and exhale keeps happening during meditation, you can do for 5 minutes, you can do some pranayama, then go for this meditation. No other things are necessary.
Babaji, second small question is like when we watch TV and all these movies and newspapers, lots of negative impressions come upon the mind. So one who is on the path, should he completely stop watching movies and sports and cricket, etc., because we are receiving negative impressions? So how much detrimental it is on the spiritual path?
Yeah, if it is troubling, it is better not to watch and try to devote that time for meditation so that you don't have to tell, okay, I didn't get time to meditate. So instead you meditate until your mind becomes totally purified.
Thank you, Babaji.
Nice to see you, Babaji. My question is about when we enter this life, we are given a time to better our life, and then death comes and we drop our body. So when we go into this next life, coming back to this world, is there as well a time passing, or is that of one side the same as the rebirth of the other side? Can you explain this to me, please?
When death happens, brain dies, but the mind gets detached from the brain. Instantly it assumes next birth. It assumes a next body also. It would have forgotten the previous life, everything, because the brain is dead. With the brain, memory is always lost. So that's what happens instantly. There is no time limit. It's illusion. You cannot calculate the time, because in this life you would visualize the time and space according to the calculation of this life. That need not be the same. If it is 40 in this life, it can be 4,000 in the next life. Something like that. Example, simply. So it can be totally different. So your mind, your consciousness spins and assumes the next birth. It visualizes the next birth. Intensity of thoughts becomes the reason for the next life. That's how it happens.
And this is instantly. So between death and rebirth, this is instantly. That is one happening.
Yes.
Can I understand? Yeah. Thank you.
Pranams, Babaji. I have a question. Babaji says that we should not judge anything that happens in our life, good or bad. But then how, as ordinary people, can we discriminate between truth and false? Because sometimes it can be very close to each other. For example, you mentioned the fact that the behavior of a guru can be very different from a moment to another, and we cannot judge from the outside behavior. So how do we truly know that someone is truthful?
You see, one thing about the master, you do the sadhana advised by the master. Don't go too close to the master, because then you might misunderstand the master. This is one thing with the master. Other than that, about judgments, you see, discrimination is different, judgment is different. Why I am talking this? You can discriminate. To live in this world, you will have to learn to discriminate what is good and what is bad, what is real and what is unreal. But if you make a judgment that is firmly done, which is absorbed as an imprint by the mind, that will trouble you always. Your mind can become corrupted and starts thinking in that way. For that reason, we advise not to make a judgment firmly. A judgment happens firmly. This is it. This is a foe. This is a friend. But you can discriminate. If you feel that the person is not good for you, you can leave the company and go somewhere else of your choice. It is yours. Like that in this world, you have to recognize good and bad with a discrimination. But take care that your mind does not make a firm judgment. Keep thinking of the bad person all the time. Then your mind also will become bad and corrupted. That's what we alerted.